All right, everyone, buckle up because we're diving into some exciting stuff today. We're talking about Thailand, and more specifically, their bold move with this whole digital currency giveaway. You've probably seen the headlines.
Yeah, it's definitely been generating a lot of buzz. And to really get into the nitty-gritty, we're going to be looking at a recent article from Prakachat Business News. They're a pretty prominent news source over in Thailand, so it's a good place to start.
Absolutely. So, to pin it simply, the Thai government's giving out 10,000 baht to eligible citizens, which is about 280 US dollars. Not bad, right? But here's the kicker. They're doing it all through digital currency, this thing called the digital baht.
Exactly. And this is where things get super interesting. See, this isn't just any digital currency. We're talking about a central bank digital currency, or CBDC for short. It's basically like a digital version of their actual currency, the BAT, issued and backed by the Bank of Thailand itself.
Ah, okay. So it's like the digital twin of their physical money. But what makes it different from, say, something like Bitcoin?
Great question. It all comes down to control. Unlike cryptocurrencies, which are decentralized, a CBDC like this is directly controlled by the government, in this case, the Bank of Thailand.
Makes sense. So it's like the digital equivalent of physical Thai baht, but probably with faster transactions and easier tracking, right?
Precisely. And what's really got my attention is how they're rolling it out. Our article today focuses on a specific date, September 27th. On that day, they're starting with what they call vulnerable groups, those with state welfare cards, particularly those with national ID numbers ending in 4, 5, 6, or 7.
Interesting. So they're being very deliberate about who gets these payments first. I'm curious to unpack that a bit more. What are your thoughts on why they might be starting with those specific groups?
Well, for starters, it seems like a strategic move to provide immediate economic relief to those who might need it most. By focusing on these demographics, they could be aiming to stimulate spending within those segments of the population first. It's a very targeted approach to economic stimulus.
So September 27th, that's just the beginning, right? This rollout is happening in phases with different groups getting access at different times.
Yeah, it's not like a free-for-all, everyone gets it at once kind of thing.
Right, and this is where the article gets really interesting.
Oh, yeah.
They actually lay out like really specific dates for when people with different ID number endings can expect to get their digital ban.
Wow, they really thought of everything, huh?
Yeah.
That level of detail is impressive.
Seriously, it definitely makes you feel like they've got a solid plan in place.
For sure.
Okay, but let's say you're listening to this and you're like, all right, this is all well and good, but how do I know if I even qualify for this thing?
Well, lucky for you, the article's got you covered there, too.
Oh, good. I was hoping you'd say that.
They actually list out 5, count them, 5 different ways to check your eligibility.
Five ways to check. Wow, talk about thorough.
Yeah.
They must really want people to know if they're eligible.
It definitely seems that way. I mean, that's a good thing, right? It makes the whole process a lot less intimidating, I'd say.
Absolutely. And you know what else caught my eye about this whole eligibility thing?
What's that?
One of the ways they suggest checking is through a hotline.
A hotline. Like an actual phone number you can call.
Yep, a good old-fashioned phone call. It seems almost quaint, with all the apps and websites we have these days.
It's like a blast from the past.
Right. But you know what? Thinking about it, that's actually really smart.
How so?
Well, not everyone's comfortable navigating websites, or maybe they don't have reliable internet access.
True.
Having that phone option makes it accessible to pretty much everyone.
That's a really good point, actually. It shows they're thinking about inclusivity, which is super important for something like this that affects the whole country.
Totally. And of course, for those who are more digitally inclined, they've got you covered too.
Yeah, the article mentions websites and even an app where you can check your eligibility.
So they're really pulling out all the stops.
It's a full-on digital blitz.
Speaking of digital, I have to confess something.
Go on.
When I first saw the URLs for these websites, I almost had a meltdown.
Oh no, were they that bad?
Let's just say they weren't exactly designed for easy sharing.
A jumble of letters and numbers, I bet.
You have no idea. But don't worry, dear listeners. We would never do that to you.
Yeah, we're not going to subject you to that torture.
We'll be sure to include all those important links in the episode notes.
Much easier on the eyes and the brain.
Exactly. But hey, at least they're providing all these different ways to access the information, right? That's got to count for something.
Definitely. It shows they're committed to transparency and making sure everyone can get on board with this whole digital bold thing.
It's really kind of mind-blowing when you think about it. Thailand's going all in on this digital currency thing, and they're really making an effort to bring everyone along for the ride.
Yeah, it's definitely a bold move, and I think it speaks volumes about where the world's headed in terms of finance. This whole thing with central bank digital currencies, it's not just a fad.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We're already seeing other countries jumping on the bandwagon experimenting with their own digital currencies.
Exactly. And it's not just about giving out stimulus payments either. This technology has the potential to revolutionize so many aspects of how we handle money.
Absolutely. Think about it streamlining social welfare programs, making it easier for people to access financial services, even potentially reducing our reliance on traditional banks.
It's like we're on the cusp of a whole new era of finance, one that's more digital, more efficient, and hopefully more inclusive.
It's exciting and a little bit daunting all at the same time, right?
Definitely a lot to unpack, but that's kind of the point of this whole deep dive, isn't it? We're here to explore these complex topics and hopefully shed some light on what it all means.
Well said. And on that note, we're going to have to wrap up our deep dive into Thailand's digital bat giveaway for today.
But this is definitely a conversation that's going to continue, and we encourage everyone to do their own research and stay informed.
Absolutely. We'll have links to all the resources we mentioned in the episode notes, so be sure to check those out if you're interested in learning more.
This is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the future of finance, and it's only going to get more interesting from here.
Couldn't agree more. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. Until next time, keep those brains buzzing.